meant to solve the problem of the challenges that come along with being both highly sensitive and high achieving. So now, having been a executive coach, human behavior professor, and licensed social worker for 10 years, I kept seeing a repeating challenges among my clients. Things like imposter syndrome, self-doubt, perfectionism, people pleasing. And when I stepped back to examine it more, it became very clear that these challenges were coming from the intersection of being highly sensitive, meaning that you think and feel everything more deeply, and being high achieving. Trust Yourself is a concrete, actionable roadmap to help you break free from stress, perfectionism, and self doubt so you can turn your sensitivity into a superpower, regain your confidence, and lead effectively. Sensitivity can be an amazing advantage in your career and in business overall. And in fact, there are studies that point to the fact that managers consistently rate people who are more sensitive as their top contributors. I think the reason why this topic is not talked about more is because only about 15 to 20% of the population is highly sensitive. The work world is really crafted for the 80%. We have that mentality that the work world is business-like, it's harsh, it's aggressive, it's fast moving, right? And so we don't traditionally equate sensitivity with success. People who are sensitive strivers are deep critical thinkers. They are people who spot opportunities and see nuances that other people miss, which means that they are the first to come up with an innovative idea or an original solution because they are taking in more information and putting those pieces together more deeply than other people. They anticipate eventualities. So they also mitigate situations before they become a problem, which saves valuable time and money. They are highly empathetic, emotionally intelligent. So they are amazing at influencing, persuading people in an authentic way, motivating people, boosting morale on a team, for an example. So all of these are a tremendous asset in business and your career overall. The top thing that surprised me while I was researching for the book is that there actually isn't a difference in levels of sensitivity between men and women. We tend to think of women as the more emotional, sensitive gender, but a lot of that comes from conditioning from our childhood, teen years, that girls are meant to be caretakers, be more accommodating. The research shows that there is no difference in levels of sensitivity between men and women. And actually, at birth, infant boys are actually more sensitive, which they defined as having a more highly attuned nervous system. What I think is really valuable here for workplaces is a conversation around neurodiversity. Very thankfully, we are having more and more conversations about DE and I, but we have tend to explore areas like gender and race. What we haven't explored as much is neurodiversity, which refers to natural neurologic brain differences that certain people have, like sensitivity. And so I think it's very important. It's really a call to action to look beyond the surface to invisible parts of diversity that we can't see. As sensitive people, we are much more attuned to our surroundings and aware of what's happening. Neurologically speaking, we actually have deeper processing. Our brains light up more in areas related to social interactions, empathy, awareness of other people's emotions. And it's important to realize that that comes along with a tremendous amount of strengths, but challenges as well. Sensitive strivers tend to have a lot of challenges when it comes to things like self-doubt, imposter syndrome tends to be a big area, self-criticism, feeling emotional overwhelm or emotional reactivity. And then people pleasing and perfectionism tends to be very common. This is really conceptualizing sensitivity as something to be balanced, that when it is balanced and managed correctly, and you have the right tools to do that, you get the benefit of all of the upside. But if you don't understand your sensitivity or you don't have the right tools to manage and leverage it, you can face some of these downsides. In the book, I go through what I call the strive qualities, which is 6 key qualities that define what it means to be a sensitive striver and areas you can be balanced or unbalanced in. One of those would be thoughtfulness. So when your thoughtfulness is well balanced, you are reflective, you are a deep thinker, you contemplate, you're intuitive. When thoughtfulness is unbalanced, that can look like worrying, indecision, rumination. So much of what sensitive strivers struggle with is a lack of confidence, in part because they have received messages their entire life to stop being so sensitive. You take everything so personally. So you come to create this war within yourself that you shouldn't be this way, and something is wrong and broken in me. And then your actions follow suit. When our qualities aren't managed, we have the downsides of, for example, our thoughtfulness that turns into self-doubt. And we don't learn to trust ourselves because we are not confident that we are someone who is worthy of being trusted. Number one would be to name your inner critic. Sounds very simple, but it's an incredibly powerful hack to give that voice of imposter syndrome a name, an identity that is separate from you. And better yet, to make it something that is lighthearted and even silly. I have one client who calls his Darth Vader. At any time he faces a leadership challenge where his inner critic comes up, he looks at it and says, "Not today, Darth." And so it is a quick little tool to give you enough psychological distance to gain perspective. Another way to gain perspective, especially when you're ruminating or you're really worrying about a problem, is something called the 10-10-10 test. So will this even matter? Will this have an impact on me? Or will I even be thinking about this 10 weeks, 10 months, or 10 years from now? And that can almost immediately put things in perspective and allow you to move on. And then last would be what I call sensitive striver's law, which is that overthinking expands to the time that we allow it. So creating creative constraints around how much you allow yourself to think about something or how long you research a topic or it takes you to make a decision. If you look at any sort of future of work, future of jobs report, you will see that the top rated skills, critical thinking, problem solving, people management, communication, self-management, are all things that sensitive strivers are high in. So in an age where we have more digitalization, automation, these two traits together, sensitivity and ambition, are going to be an amazing competitive advantage.